Director Cordray, Section 1071 of the Dodd-Frank Act requires banks and lenders to collect and report credit application data on small businesses as well as minority and women-owned businesses. Can you elaborate on how collecting this information will help enforce fair lending laws and enable lenders to identify opportunities for improvement in underserved communities?
Yes, and thank you for the question. My sense is that both the theory and the practice of this would be similar to the Home Mortgage Disclosure Act, where more data on what loans are being offered and in what locations and to what kinds of customers would give us a kind of a roadmap into whether lending is being done, in some even-handed way across different communities. And there's been no substitute for the HMDA data that can be easily seen and easily analyzed and crunched. And by the way, one of the things we're required to do under the Dodd-Frank Act is to overhaul the HMDA rules and make them more effective, which we're working on right now. And we also are bringing over from the Federal Reserve the data collection itself so that we will be the ones who are managing that data collection. I think they've done a great job over the years, and I now think there's ways we can update and improve it yet further. That, I think we've talked before, becomes the jumping-off point for us to then fulfill what is also a requirement under the Dodd-Frank Act, but again, not on a particular deadline, of going about small business data collection. We are going to this year undertake our first examination of a financial institution on small business lending under the authority of the Dodd-Frank Act. And that will help us have guidance on this. As the HMDA moves forward, we plan to build on that for the small business data as well. And I think this is eventually, I know it takes a while for these things to unfold, going to be a very significant tool.
So when can we expect the CFPB to publish rules? Do you think before the end of the year or after?
No, could not be before the end of the year. And I honestly can't give you a date, but I can tell you that we have a process here that I think makes sense, which is to complete the HMDA, which is one of the required tasks for us, then move to the small business data and have it build together so that the data collection is being done in the most efficient manner.
Well, it is a very important part of the law,
Yep.
and it helps us here understand the dynamics in terms of small business lending.
Yes.
New York consumers submit thousands of debt collection complaints to the Bureau every year. As you know, onerous and illegal debt collection practices can be a significant burden on a family's finances and ability to obtain credit. It is our understanding that CFPB is in the process of drafting a rule to address these complaints. Can you describe the main tenets of the rule and the types of abusive collection activities you hope to eliminate?
So my experience with this subject goes back to when I was Ohio Attorney General. It was the most complained about activity, other than identity theft, in the office at that time, has always been one of the most complained about activities at every level of government. I actually would like to compliment New York regulators, courts, the Attorney General, the banking superintendent, who've done a lot of work around debt collection in that state. We've learned a lot from the work they're doing. We've had a lot of consultation back and forth. We will be moving forward, as Dodd-Frank authorized us to do, to adopt regulations that will completely update the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act, which was enacted in 1977. That's the year I graduated from high school, and you think how much technology has changed since then, how much the practice of debt collection has changed since then. There's a lot that we need to address. There are many abuses, people being harassed, people being bothered in the workplace when they should not be, military service members, commanding officers being pursued, which is totally inappropriate and affects the service member. There's a lot of things that go on out there. We've had numerous enforcement actions. We've had numerous examinations leading to relief. There's a lot of work to be done in this.
Timeline as to when a rule will be released?
That's also, it's on our unified agenda, along with overdraft, that will be started on that, I imagine, later this year.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
The gentlelady yields back. The Chair now recognizes